Our goal is a circuit that converts DC to AC, an inverter. We have the start of an idea, that is, that a bridge circuit can allow current to flow through a load in both directions. Note that in the case of the bridge rectifier for AC to DC conversion, the voltage of the supplied power switches on the diodes when needed. But when we consider inversion, the DC input to the circuit does not change. So we must design a circuit that forces the direction of the current to change. The difference is that now we need controllable switches. So just to cover this one more time, when we did the bridge rectifier for AC to DC conversion, the swings of the AC voltage turned on the diodes at the right time. But in the case of DC to AC conversion, we have to control the switches using some external stimulus. So let's draw that picture again. We had parallel branches, the bottom tied to ground, the input, the top tied to our DC input, and again the load bridging the two parallel circuit branches. Now, here's the trick. If you recall back when we talked about very early on the rectifier, we had these boxes just shown as switches, and we showed how we could make the current go to the right through the load and then to the left through the load just by controlling these four switches. Now we get into the aspect of controlling. So remember, the diodes switched themselves when it was appropriate, but now we need to force the change. So we need to develop switches that allow us to do control. So we're going to develop these switches, and just to show you, we're going to actually take these switches back to, if you remember, we had our control subsystem. So the question is, how do we implement the functionality here? So we will talk later about the control system. What we want to talk about this time is what kind of thing or electronic component can we use to implement these switches. And so it turns out that transistors are perfect for the part of being controllable switches. The particular type of transistor we will use is called a MOSFET, which we will just call a FET, or we will call it an FET again, or just a FET. In part 6 of the videos for this module, we will discuss the very basics of transistors, and in particular we will talk about these MOSFETs or FETs.